Well, greetings. I'd like to talk to you today about foreign aid. It's the topical subject. Everybody's arguing about it and whether it should continue or not continue, so on and so forth. But of course, as usual, you're not being told the truth. And the truth of the matter is not what you'll hear on mainstream media or from most politicians. I just want to run a few things past you so that you can make your own informed decision about these matters. Now, of course, it's all based on emotion. And we have politicians, even David Davis, who normally knows better, saying that if we don't continue to give foreign aid, to send money abroad, all the little babies are going to die. You see, all the little babies are going to die. Well, you know, it isn't really like that, is it? It's not like that at all. First of all, we don't know whether they're going to die or not because most of it's unaudited. And if you want to have a trail through where the money goes, it goes to the most extraordinary things and places. It goes to China, for example. Would you believe that millions of pounds have been sent to China, of all places? British taxpayers' money going to China, sometimes to tell them about their dietary information, and to eat less salt in their food. Check it out, it's all in the public domain. In India, for example, in northern India, we spent money, taxpayers' money, on trying to persuade them to not smoke in Pakistan. It's almost limitless, the amount of nonsense that goes on with our overseas aid budget. Now, why is this? Why is our overseas aid budget so ridiculous? And I'll tell you why. It's because it's a fixed sum. Instead of putting some money aside for international disasters where we could really stop little baby dying, if we could really stop that, that would be fine. But we have this fixed payment, which is 0.7% of GDP of the United Kingdom. Now, it doesn't sound very much, does it? And you'll be told this figure quite a lot. 0.7% of GDP. GDP is not a very good example of how an economy runs anyway, but we have to go with that because that's how it is. That's how most people judge it. But what does that actually mean, 0.7% of GDP? What does it mean in real terms? First of all, our estimated growth in 2020 and 2021 is in between 1.5% and 2%, in and around that figure. So what didn't sound very much to begin with is actually quite a lot. It's 50% of our growth. In coming years, it's 50% of our growth. Absolutely ludicrous, isn't it? Imagine if you were to get £1,000 salary increase at the end of the year and somebody came along, compulsory took £500 off you in order to give to charity. How would you feel about that? How does it work out in real terms? Well, it worked out in real terms around about £13 billion a year. £13 billion, that's quite a lot of money. And of course, the reason it ends up in such ridiculous ideas and ridiculous schemes is because when it gets to March or April, the end of the fiscal year, it's got to be spent. So the money is squandered around because it has to be spent, because that's what we've committed ourselves to. What does that mean per capita? We're a generous nation. We give more to charity than most nations, certainly most liberal and advanced nations on the face of the planet. The British are very generous. If you divide our foreign aid budget by our population, we give more per capita abroad in that manner than almost any other country on the face of the planet, including the United States. So we are over generous, extremely generous. Now, nobody's suggesting that we don't help people in distress. I'm okay for helping people in distress, but we've got to get away from this formalised and formulaic business of giving money regardless. How's it distributed? Well, it's distributed, a lot of it is distributed via the charities. So it gets distributed by Save the Children, Oxfam, so on and so forth, the British Red Cross, all these kinds of things. But you know, do you not, how corrupt these people are? So you know that the salaries are absolutely unbelievable. Look up the chief executive and senior executives of these charities. They're on salaries you can only dream of. They're on salaries you can only dream of. Hundreds of thousands of pounds a year and all the fringe benefits that go with it. They're doing very nicely, thank you very much. And these charities, of course, don't raise very much these days by rattling a tin. They actually raise money by taking money from government, which brings me to another problem, does it not? Our country is nearly £3 trillion in debt, if you include public sector pensions, which I hardly ever mentioned, nearly £3 trillion in debt. And that's an astonishing sum. It's too big for the human mind. It's far too big for us to even conceive what £3 trillion is. So we're actually borrowing money, aren't we? We're borrowing money to give away in unaudited foreign aid. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, I would argue that it's immoral to borrow money from the next generation, our children and grandchildren, to give away in unaudited foreign aid, much of which goes into the pockets of corrupt organisations and indeed corrupt Western liberal executives. And it doesn't take much to find out where it goes. Google it up. The Taxpayers Alliance, the Institute of Economic Affairs, they all have websites which will show you exactly where this money goes and how it is misspent. So I say again, it isn't about saving the little baby, it's keeping the merry-go-round going for all sorts of corruption, and this money corrupts. And I've been all over the world. I've been to Africa, I've been to dirt poor villages in northern India, and if you speak to the head man, I can assure you the money doesn't end up with them. They know it's coming, they know this aid is coming, and they say, Mr. Bloom, it doesn't end up, we don't get it, we never see it, it's headed off by, as always, the politicians higher up the social scale who do very nicely with their Ray-Ban sunglasses and their Mercedes and their apartments in gay Paris. So the whole thing is corrupt. It needs to stop. It isn't necessary for governments to give money forcibly to charity, to take money off you. You can give money to charity if you wish. It's a personal thing. It's a private thing. You can do it if you want to, but I don't want the government forcibly taking money off me for their pet charities. Thank you very much. I've got pet charities of my own. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research based, and I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.